All right. So, because I don't mind sharing what happens behind the scene, I decided to play with the camera right before we go live. And I thought to myself, Gwendolyn, I don't know. I don't know why you're doing that. But yeah, so let me get the music playing first, right? Let's get some music playing here. And then we'll get into what we always get into. Yeah, let's do that. Good afternoon. I feel as if I'm slightly muted. We've been running and gunning all morning. So I'm feeling as if I'm coming in slightly muted. We'll find out. But this topic is one of those topics anyway, so maybe it's the right feeling for what we're going to discuss today. So a couple of things before I get started. Now, supposedly I was going to go live to Facebook. It ain't working again. And that's okay. We'll just have to post it later. Whatever. But we are streaming live to LinkedIn as well as YouTube. So, hey, good afternoon. I am Gwendolyn G.R. Houston Jack. This is Girl Listen. And I was thinking about the topics that I like to investigate. And in case you hadn't noticed, this is a soapbox moment for myself. So it really is about putting out the soapbox, standing on the soapbox, saying what I got to say for like a few minutes. Okay, 25, 30, 45. And then getting off the soapbox. This topic comes from observing social media behavior, which is pretty much just humans at their worst, or it could be there every day. I'm not really sure. Before I go there, though, let me get into the comments. I would love to know where you guys are tuning in from and whether you're watching live or in the replay, one of those places. We've got, hey, our accountability partner here. What's going on there, Gary Jackson Jr.? Hello to you, sir. Afternoon. David is in the building. Hello. Hello. My dear work husband, Ron. Now, let me say this because I feel like I can say it with a crowd. I feel for the length of time that we have been connected, I should be getting some anniversary gifts. I'm just saying. You know, I'm going to go ahead and put it out there because, if you put out in the universe, it typically conspires to assist you. So we'll see where that goes. But I thought I should throw it out there. We have Tanya Fisher. Hey, hello, hello. We also have Black Eighth Element in the Dawson. We got Dawson here. Okay, you must have been like looking into my window. I have been watching Jurassic Park 1, 2, and 3 back to back all week. I can't even explain it. I can't explain it, but I've been playing it and I just don't know. Now, Dave is coming in from East Texas and yesterday was kind of funny for those in like Northeast and Southeast Texas. And the day before that, it's been kind of funny. We are just starting spring, which is severe weather, and the tornadoes and the severe weather has been popping like popcorn, man. So no matter where you guys are, pray that your family and friends are safe, that you're safe. We are just getting started. It's only what is this, May 10th? We still have some time to go, and it's been moving. And Ron is okay. Well, I gotta throw it out there, Ron, because if you don't ask, you're not gonna know. So I figured I should throw it out there. So keep letting us know where you're tuning in from, and let me get right into this because when I see comments, I can't help but think about how people clearly live different lives, but also too how the impact of society and the stereotypes and the stories, sometimes lies, okay, a lot of time lies, are told, and it makes us react a certain way to what's going on. So I'm going to give you guys a couple of things. I'm going to set this up for you so that you know where I'm coming from. Now, clearly I'm a Black woman. Okay, there you go. And there are so many things that I have experienced, and there are a lot of things that I have not experienced, right? But I do know when I'm being watched. I am fully aware when someone is trying to gaslight me. I'm also fully aware when someone's insecurities and they get in their feelings and they feel like I should pick up that, and that's a no for me. So, we've been through a couple of things, and here's what it is. So I saw this story in Houston, how a mother was shot by two Houston Zoo security guards. And she was sharing her side of the story. And you would think, okay, you have a mother with kids in the car. So, like, what happened? More importantly, why would not one, but two officers? No, let me get it right, because they're not HPD. I'm sorry. These are security guards. Okay. Now, clearly we have moved up from just having flashlights, but I'm not understanding why these two, not one, but two security guards felt the need to shoot at this mother who had kids in the car. So she was shot by two security guards at Houston Zoo on Friday. This is a couple months ago. And she's 28 years old. She was moving her car in the parking lot when zoo security mistook her for fleeing the scene. Hunter said the situation originally stemmed from an argument over a parking spot, but she says it escalated when a man preventing her from parking hit her 2-year-old son. Now, I have been at the Houston Zoo. That parking lot is atrocious. It is. Typically, depending on how I'm feeling, I don't even bother parking in the parking lot. I would much rather get my wagon and roll myself or take Metro Rail, the light rail, because it is janky parking. But all that aside, and we know that there has, oh Lord, Houston is leading in the number of road rage incidents right now. But when people fight over parking spots, I go back to a lack of emotional intelligence. Why these two security guards felt the need to shoot at this woman, still don't get it. Now, even if you assume that she is fleeing the scene, I'm not so sure that requires shooting at somebody. And I want to make sure this is clear. They didn't just shoot at her, they shot at her head. Right? So this was not like, I'm going to shoot and try to maim, which clearly nowadays is not. It's not the focus. The focus is to shoot to kill because, oh my God, I'm fear for my life. I do want to say this, and this is why I feel the way I feel. I come from a family that has had, because they're retired, 3 HPD officers that were Black women. Very, very few instances of having to pull their weapon and shoot at somebody. Right? So I do admit to feeling some kind of way when I see these men. And let's just go with the stereotype. Men are stronger than women. Men are blah, blah, blah. Let's just go with that. That they're so fearful. Now, these are security guards, not HPD officers. These security guards who felt like she was fleeing the scene and decided that they would shoot at her head. Bullets don't have names. There are kids in this car. But here's the part that makes me come to our discussion. Because Black women are often seen, and I'm going to say it. I'm going to say it only because I felt it here and there. We are less than. We are less than human. There is this idea that we have this unnatural disposition to be able to deal with pain, manual labor, and a lot of other BS. So when I got into the comments, and I will, every blue moon, I will get into the comments to see just how ignorant our society is. And we are ignorant. I swear to God Almighty in heaven. I would like to believe that people were more open and understanding and had some common sense, but the comments, there were a number of comments that, one, she was playing the victim. And I want to make sure this is also clear. These comments came from all ethnicities and all genders. Here is another Black woman who is playing the victim. It's a very good chance she said something, because Black women tend to say something that requires them to get shot. So one lady says, and I know I blacked it out because I don't want to, but it is a lady. She says, how does one play victim when they have been shot multiple times? And she was shot multiple times, and have children in the car with them. Make it make sense. The guy, because you can't see it, but there's a guy. He says, if she was attempting to hit an officer, then yeah, she got what's coming. Why was both of them admitted to the hospital? A guard isn't just pulling a pistol and shooting for no reason. She says, if it is a big question. You know, it hit me, because we hear time and time again of Black women who have come forward either from abuse or from some other atrocious act. And it always becomes, well, what did she do to deserve it? Because she had to do something. I mean, he's just not shooting for no reason. Now, the young lady did say that somebody, the guy or whomever, jumped out in front of her car and she swerved to miss that guy. She wasn't fleeing. She was moving her car. They're in the parking lot. She's blocking, right? And he jumped out in front and she swerved to not hit him. And then the shots rang out. Right? So going to the comments, Ron, we have to establish an anniversary date. We can do that, sir. And shout out to Isla. She says, believe Black women is just plain smart. It is. I would love to be able to say that this was not one of the common comments. There were multiples. And when I tell you it came from all ethnicities and all genders, all I saw was, here's another situation where a Black woman was shot. Luckily, she lived. And the response is not, oh my goodness, how can we help her? Who's going to be held accountable? Yada, yada, yada. It is, what did she do? So this person says, the security guard didn't just start shooting for no reason. She's playing the victim because she got shot. Let's hear from the security guard. Right. Because shooting somebody is always the response to every situation. Or at least, okay. She ain't playing victim. He shouldn't have shot her, period. I wish that was the thought, right? Because we have seen it, and I'm going to take it broader, take it really broad. We have seen time and time again this story. I'm trying to find the gracious words, y'all, because I'm working on this today. Trust me, I am working on it. This narrative that I feared for my life. I just wasn't sure. Let me shoot first and figure it out later. Maybe they'll live. Now, I'm going to say this really quick because I'm always reading the news. I don't get into the news very often, but I do. And I'm currently watching a story in Florida where an airman was shot by an officer. The family said they went to the wrong house, the wrong apartment. They claim after they released the body cam that they did not go to the wrong apartment. There is a person in this apartment. A lady called and said, hey, there's a disturbance happening. I'm hearing stuff. I think it's getting out of hand, yada, yada, yada. Okay. Now, the officer knocked once, knocked a second time, and the peephole, like the guy was there, but he was on the phone with his girlfriend. So there's nothing going on in his apartment, right? And he's an airman. He has a licensed firearm. He's not sure about this person knocking on his door and just not saying who he is. Now, they say that he announced himself. Okay, great. He opens the door and yes, he has a firearm. But before anything is ever said or done, next thing you know, this guy was shot 6 times. No, this airman did not live. Right? So where is this disturbance that was happening at this apartment? Because there was no disturbance. I'm going to come back to that. That's not today's story. It's not. But I will say this. How many times do we have to hear about another person being shot in their home? Okay, Gwendolyn, stay focused. Okay, so here we go back to security isn't HPD either. Well, that depends on her actions. For what reason would 2 men need to shoot a female? Coward. Yeah. Not 1, but 2. And I'm going to say it again. They hit her in the head. Luckily, it just grazed her head. The other one hit her in her cheek. But why are you shooting at her head? Now, you could say, well, she's in the car and da-da-da. Yeah. This extreme level of force against Black bodies is just about more than I can stand. I can't stand it, actually. Let me just go ahead and say that. But there's no regard for the kids in the car either. But what really hits me is that here is this young lady saying, hey, I get that there was an argument over this parking spot. None of it should escalate to 2 people, 2 security officers shooting at my head with my kids in the car. It shouldn't. And the fact that multiple people didn't even want, there were tons of folks who were saying, I find it very hard to believe her. Why? Are the bullet wounds not enough to tell you that something's wrong here? Because when do we justify shooting people? Now, have I ever had the thought? Yeah. When I hear about crimes against kids, babies, I admit my mind goes to some horrible places because I do believe that persons who commit crimes against kids should be put down like a rabid dog. I will admit that. That's about it, though. That's about it. There is never a reason for any of these situations that, whether it's an officer or a security guard, should escalate to shooting somebody. If anything, why shoot her? Shoot the tires out. There's, you know what I'm saying? If you have to go there, if you want to stop her, but you're aiming at her head. Ron says, horrible what is going on in Florida. That it is, sir. Again, I'm watching that story. I am watching that one because the only thing that the body cam was put out was to show that this officer, he did announce who he was. Okay, you announce who you were. The guy opens the door. How did we go from, I opened my door to 6 shots? 6. Now, mind you, he is still on FaceTime with his girlfriend when all this is going down. 6. 6 in his apartment. Yeah. Aisa says they are practicing tactics for the rest of the country. You know what? I'm really working hard to not lose the little bit of hope I have in humanity. I am. Now, I'm going to share this next story here because we shared it before, but I'm bringing it back because we talked about last year. There was a mother who passed away after giving birth, and this goes right back to the unnatural number of Black maternal deaths. Unnatural. And just when you think it's done, no, it's not done because, of course, it's not done. So this year, we have longtime Kansas City Chiefs cheerleader dies after giving birth. I think she was 40 years old, y'all. 40 years old. Anderson was originally from Texas, but had made Leawood, Kansas, her home with her husband, according to the GoFundMe. Graduated from the University of Richmond in Virginia, where she was a member of the Rho Mu chapter of Alpha Kappa Alpha sorority. right? The Romu chapter has joined several organizations to host a summit on April 21st. This is very recent, at Virginia Union University, to discuss maternal and reproductive health and infertility in the Black community. In a post on the chapter's social media, it encouraged people to attend in memory of Anderson. According to the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, sepsis is the body's extreme reaction to an infection that can rapidly lead to tissue damage, organ failure, and death. And maternal sepsis causes at least 261,000 maternal deaths globally every year, according to the nonprofit. I don't know how many times we have to talk about Black women dying in childbirth before we start taking that serious. I don't know. She was 40 years old. 40. First child. Now, this article didn't go into if she had spoke with her doctor about any pains. There is an article from her husband that he was sharing about her pregnancy experience. But time and time again, when Black women go to their doctors and say, hey, something's not quite right, they get it's just normal pregnancy. This is just what happens. It's not, you can't be. There's a lot of that still. And it is 2024, people. 2024. Let me get a couple of these comments. Cut Game, good afternoon. He says, time to load the clip. Okay. Now, I don't need you out there doing things that you shouldn't be doing, okay? But we do know that some of this is done on purpose. I believe some of it is done on purpose. I'm gonna go ahead and say it. If you are that fearful for your life, you're in the wrong job, man. You're in the wrong job. And this is just one story. I mean, there are other stories, and we could literally fill hours of stories of where the police force has gone entirely too far, right? There was one about a month ago in California. Young man was trying to hurt himself, and he was killed when they attempted to stop him from hurting himself. Well, how did that work out, right? There are so many things we can do in terms of doing better to resolve situations. And no offense, if you are not a person who is trained to handle a situation that may require a counselor or a therapist, you shouldn't be there. It's with a gun. You should not be there, because the idea is to de-escalate, not go from, I'm trying to stop a teenager from committing suicide to, well, sorry, we ended up killing that teenager. Tell me how that happens. Again, let me leave that one for another day. Because that's... Whew. And shout out to my mama who's tuning in. And then we have Black Eighth Element telling old dog to calm down. He also says, Cut Game says, pregnancy deaths are done on purpose also. Well, I don't know if they're done on purpose. That part's different. There is a lack of taking the mother serious. Because again, and these are just the stereotypes I have read about. Black women have this unnatural nature to take pain more than other women. So it really can't be that bad. Like, you're really not in pain. Like, that's really not happening. Can't be. I mean, you guys do all the things. You're magical. You do all the things. So recent studies have shown that maternal deaths across the U.S. more than doubled over 2 decades, with Black women having the highest maternal mortality rate in the country. Black women are 3.3 times more likely to die from pregnancy-related causes than white women, which some experts say is a systemic issue duplicated in all areas of healthcare. It is. Now, I have been blessed and lucky to have doctors that actually listen to me. Had an older white guy who I thought was a woman because his name was Dixie. My bad. I had a young white lady. I currently have a Black lady right now. So I've had all. And there also was another lady in there too. But Everybody has always listened. I haven't had is it really that bad? I haven't had that. And I'm not saying that it happens to everyone, but there is, and we have seen it across the board, there is some systematic issues when it comes to the health of Black women. Be you pregnant or not pregnant, we have seen it. And it goes beyond, let me just say this, pregnancy as well. It goes beyond that. It could be the simple thing of, I believe this is happening, and someone telling you, that's not happening. Now, I don't mind talking about my previous work history, unlike my work husband. I don't mind talking about it. I do recall telling my boss a couple of times, like there was one young lady, I said, you know what? I don't think she likes Black people. I said, I know I'm her manager. That child will avoid me like the plague. And they were like, no, that's not possible. I said, why is that impossible? I get that she is working here, but I get paid to observe people and their behaviors. And let me tell you, she liked, or she was comfortable working with Black persons that were women who were, what's the right word? I cannot find the right gracious word. I'm going to use easy to get along with. I'm going to say that. I'm going to go ahead and say that. She avoided the Black men. I mean, they could be begging for help. She didn't see him. She would avoid me. Now, I'm her boss. All right? She would avoid me. I put my manager on notice. And from that point on, everybody watched, right? My counterpart, she watched. And she and I recall the day where this young lady had finished training session and didn't come to me. She went to her, she happened to be Caucasian, and said, okay, I'm done. What do you think I should do next? And she was like, you should talk to Gwendolyn because she's your boss. When we see things and we feel things and we notice, don't do you got to be crazy. We are not crazy. I know exactly what's happening. I'm not crazy. Back to some of these comments. Yes, we are magical. And because we're magical, we can handle all the things in terms of pain and ridiculousness because, Cut Game says there are people from the inside say so, but no one is listening. I don't know about that. I don't know about that. I do believe there is a sheer disregard for what the patient is feeling. That much I will say, because we've seen there's reports of that. There's reports of women saying, I told the nurse this, she told me that's impossible and left the room. Right? So we do know that, but I don't know about any inside jobs. Gary says, definitely believe it is happening. Yeah, it is. It is happening. It is happening. Isla says, you can handle it because you've had to, and you have the stamina and strength. It's BS that you have to. Hey, this is where we are. And it happens over and over again. We know even in the workplace, again, when Black women say, hey, this feels like XYZ, it can get shot down. Now, again, I do recall, I've had a couple of nutty, I'm going to call them nutty situations when people just get a tad bit too attached or their in game is suspect. And I have said, hey, I'm not feeling good about this situation. This does not feel good. Trust me, there's something that ain't quite right here. And it gets no, that's just. And at that time, I did have, again, my counterpart who said, look, if she is telling you something, trust. This is happening. But it's so easy because, again, Black women are typically seen as being strong and we can handle everything. Ain't nobody, I'm not trying to be strong. And if I'm telling you that somebody is nutty, I mean that. We got to fix that. So here's the other part of this conversation when it comes to Black women and motherhood. The idea that, again, systematic tearing down of Black families. Now, there have been a couple of stories of Black mothers in this DFW area who have had their kids taken away from them because they don't want to follow the advice of XYZ doctor. But because, this is my opinion, and I'm just going to say it, the data speaks to it, because as a Black mother and father, this now comes across as something that is suspect and possibly child abuse. Let me read it first. Okay, so it's been over 60 days without my son. Mother fights to get her son back from CPS following a trip to the hospital. Sanders claims she is being punished, I'm jumping ahead here, for objecting to her son receiving an antibiotic and leaving the hospital against medical advice. Now, there are a number of people out there across the board who question some of the antibiotics given to their children. I have never studied any kind of data regarding autism, but there are parents who are like, look, this, I do believe there is a connection between this drug and autism, right? Or that they feel, looking at the side effects, they're like, you know what? I want a different alternative than this one. That's not an unusual thing. Mom says, as someone who graduated from UNT in the top 10% of her class, she was able to thoroughly research the medication for over 7 hours and concluded she did not want her son to receive, I don't know what that drug is, but I'm just going to put it there, right? I believe the physician at the time was maybe a little bit offended of me pushing back and I guess questioning her authority of her knowledge. That wasn't the case at all. I just want the best for my son. And I believe that particular antibiotic was not the best for my son, which is what parents have the right to do, to say, you know what, I don't want that. I mean, even as an adult, when we read all of the side effects, you're like, I'm better off just taking my chances, right? Or give me something else, because I don't want to do that. She says the doctor verbalized concerns over the toddler's size and whether he was malnourished, which mom says is not true. According to Sanders, she breastfed her son for 2 years and had recently weaned him off, leading to common challenges with food, but also something a feeding therapist was about to help with. Her father, Jason Sanders, says claims of the boy being malnourished are short-sighted and do not take into account the daughter is petite. Now, I know they do this whole, you know, your child should be here, your child should be there thing. And again, we're one size fits all. Like, I've seen some small babies, I've seen some big babies. And I get that they try to put them in a category and figure it out, but the human body is an amazing machine that you really just can't put into a box. Think about all the drugs we take. You know how they say, okay, well, 95% has a positive reaction? Well, that other 5% didn't, right? So maybe you're part of that 5%. This is a common thing here. Like, that's not that's not something that any parent would not be concerned with. She says she was confronted with a similar situation at Dallas Children's almost 2 years ago with her baby boy. Fortunately, she says her doctor listened to her concerns. Russell points to the long-held beliefs within the Black community over the medical care provided in the U.S., where, for example, pregnant Black women in pain are sometimes not believed or thought of as being overly dramatic. This mother is no fool. She didn't come from a fool. She's not raising one, said Russell. They practice medicine. They don't know everything. Don't give your all to people because they have a certain degree. You have to be your best advocate. You have to be. Sanders will appeal in Denton County courtroom Wednesday morning to try and regain custody of her baby. They took her child. They were like, nope, clearly this woman is out of whack because this child is small. She's also small. And they took her child from her. As if they're the only ones who could tell you what should happen with your kid. I don't know where they get that power, but there is. She's not the first family to do something different that happened to be Black, where they sent CPS in to take the kid out. And we know that there are people across the board who do something different. Like people are doing that whole measles party thing, I think in Florida and all this. And so we know that parents have an option. Again, I believe that if your kid has got measles or something that was eradicated from vaccines, and then hey, let me know that your kid has not been immunized. Like I don't need my kid getting anything, right? But parents have that right to do what they think is best. But you don't see very often where they come in, and I'm going to say, into a non-Black family and snatch the kid. You do not see that. You don't. Now, I will tell you this. This mother had family that they wanted the child to be placed with. There were 7 names on that list. CPS picked some random woman who wasn't even on the list. Not even with his family. Now, again, systematic tearing down of the Black family, but that's also another conversation for another day. Right now, we're just looking at when Black women give their thoughts, feelings, I don't want to say opinion, but I guess I could, on a variety of topics. There is just this deaf ear. There is just this deaf ear. I'm going to end with this one. And this is more of a positive, that there is a trend of Black women using doulas to overcome maternal death rates. We are seeing it across the board, that Black women having babies are at an increased risk of death, according to the CDC, that maternal mortality has a growing number of Black women turning to doulas, midwives. More Black women are using doulas to overcome disparities in healthcare. And I will also say that there are also Black men doulas as well. Natasha Brereton, I'll say, is a busy mom, 15-month-old twins. When her girls arrived early, a group of doulas stood by her side during labor and delivery. Hiring a doula is not just a thing like you just pay someone and move on. She's forever in my life. People are looking for alternative ways to protect themselves. You have to be your best self-advocate. You just have to be. You have to be. Be a little picky. Ask questions. And if you happen to have a doctor right now that's not listening to you, I am telling you, you need to get you another doctor. Just saying. But we know that data shows that this is not a one-off. This continues to happen. And the fact that we have a certain party of people who want to reduce our access to reproductive health care. I don't want to say we're a dying breed. We're not there yet, but we have to take action into our own hand and make better choices, like getting a midwife, getting a doula, researching all the things before we just go doing stuff. This is where we are. This is where we are. Do I believe that we are close to a solution? I don't know about that. I do believe that as more Black women say something, share their experience, and start bringing it to the forefront, we may see a slight shift. But this is like the Titanic. This type of stereotypical behavior, systematic behavior, both in healthcare and the workplace and everywhere else, that's a big iceberg that we're going to have to chip away at. Like it's going to take a little bit. It's not going to happen overnight. That's for darn sure. So let me do this as I wrap this up, because there's just so much out there. And you could easily become disenchanted by looking at the number of stories of police brutality, Black maternal death, another Black woman being brutalized, treated like she's less than. You can easily just sort of lose all hope. We're not going to do that, though. We're not going to do it. We're going to confront it head on. We're going to keep talking about it. Put it in the forefront. Because the more we talk about it, the more possibility people will say, you know what, there's got to be something here. There is definitely something here. There is. So 2 things I want to talk about really quick. That tonight is Friday. And as you guys know, we are now on episode 7 of Ladies Listen Up. this evening on Indie Soup Media. If you are available, you want to slide by 7:30 Eastern, 6:30 Central. We'll be in the interactive chats on YouTube. We're discussing religion tonight, y'all. Religion. Organized religion. Clearly, I don't mind going where places people don't want to go because I'm going to go there. We are going to go there. We're going to talk about organized religion tonight. So if you want to be in that interactive chat, I highly suggest you come over. And then also too, let me count it out. 2 weeks, 3 weeks. I can't even count. 1, 2. Okay. Our very next episode of Girl, Listen, our very next live episode, we're going to talk about death. Because I just have this feeling that we should go there too. Just in case you didn't know, and I'll go ahead and tell you, because I don't mind talking about it. Just in case you didn't know, you're all like 1 second closer to your death than you were like a second ago. Newsflash, you're dying. We're going to talk about death though. I know you're thinking, Gwendolyn, yes. It's just where we go, people. We have to investigate these things. Gotta have the conversation. I really do believe you gotta have that conversation. Because, this whole idea of not talking about stuff, that's not working, y'all. It's not working. We gotta talk about it. And the more we talk about it, having civil discourse, perhaps you'll leave here with a better perspective. Or you may have a different understanding than what you had before. Say something here. Keep talking. Thank you. Thank you, David. That's the deal, right? Because we don't all have the same life. And I surround myself with different people so I can have a better perspective about the world. I'm by no means a know-it-all. We're not trying to be. But variety is the spice of life. Just saying. And life is so much better having different people who don't look like me and think like me in it. I like it. It's been really good. So we're going to talk about death. That's in about, like I said, 3 weeks. Give me 3 weeks. About 3 weeks. Yeah. We're going to talk about it. Start thinking about it now. I know you're like, of all the things, it's morbid. It is by no means morbid, but I'm going to test you. You have no idea where I'm going with it. Until then, let me get some outro music and I'm going to see you guys later. Thank you for watching another episode of Girl, Listen. Be sure to tune in every other Friday at 4 p.m. Central Standard Time, and we also invite you to like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel.